Hey, this is Jess Reviews Reviews, in which I pick an object in my home, I review it, and then I look at other reviews to see if I am right, because obviously I just want to be right. Um, Today I'm going to be talking about my ugh, Instant Pot. I hesitated even to talk about the Instant Pot because, well, for a couple reasons. One, it's heavy. It's hard to lift this thing up and carry it over here. Um, Huge detriment. Also, it was dirty, so I had to clean it off to make it even look vaguely camera presentable. And then finally, it is been talked about. I feel like everyone has talked about the Instant Pot, and I'm not sure I have anything to add except maybe maybe a little bit about how I acquired it. So that is why I'm talking about it, maybe to give a PSA to other people who are hoping to get one. So I am a big user of Facebook Marketplace, Buy Nothing groups, and like Facebook groups for the purpose of like buying and selling and recycling things. So I actually got this Instant Pot, which I believe is like over $100. I got it brand new for 40 from someone in the neighborhood who already had one and had been gifted one. So that's my first tip is if you're looking to get an Instant Pot, don't feel like you need to like go buy one new. However, I do think I would also say that it's one of those things that is good enough to have around that it is worth buying new. There are some things that really truly are not. And I just wouldn't even bother telling anyone to buy, for instance, like a desk. Get a used desk. You can see what condition it's in and you can save a lot of money. But an Instant Pot, I do find that it does get quite dirty and like it does get a lot of use, especially if you're planning to use it a lot. Getting a new one might be worth it. I was able to, like I said, get one for much less, even though it was new. So do check Facebook Marketplace. Often people are selling things that are just like brand new in the box that they don't need because they're a very popular gift. So in terms of whether I like it, I really like it. I want to be clear about that. I use it all of the time. This gets used, I'm gonna say several times a week. Things that I cook in it the most are actually chicken. We cook a lot of chicken in this and then shred it up for things like chicken salad. Um, I will cook potatoes in this. It's much faster. Um, but really just like it's a very handy device. It's a good thing to have, especially if you wanted to cook something like beans from the bag. If you're trying to save some money, it's so much cheaper to buy beans in a bag. You could pressure cook them. You have to pressure cook them or you're going to be cooking them on the stove for a very, very long time. And this is just incredibly helpful to have. I've also made a lot of yogurt in it, actually. Very convenient for that. Um, I think the thing my biggest takeaway about it, and you can see on this interface, there's just like a million settings. I I have only really used the pressure cook setting. I cake? Who's making cake in an Instant Pot? I mean, maybe you are if you're limited in space, but I certainly have not. Pretty much all I've ever done is hit pressure cook, adjusted the time, and then press start. So I do find that the whole thing is a little bit more complex than I need it to be. It felt to me like a learning curve, just learning how to turn the darn thing on. Um, but I mean, sous vide? Who is sous videing in this? Like, and how? I I have many questions. I haven't used the sterilize button, though perhaps I should be using the sterilize button at some point, and I just didn't know that. I even tried to read the instruction manual, but to be honest, I'm bad at instruction manuals and I lack the moral fortitude for them. So I think I have used the rice button. Maybe that's it. Anyway, pressure cook button is my most pushed button, and the rest of these I really can't speak to. So the way it works when I hit my one button here, my pressure cook button, turn it on, I pick a time. I don't know how much the times matter. I usually just kind of do like 20 minutes and hope it's good. And then I press start. So this comes up to pressure. On the lid, it has a locking device here. Okay, let's switch hands. Let's talk about the lid. This little switch will adjust whether it is set to vent or to seal. So currently it's set to seal. You will want it set to seal if you're pressure cooking. This little like thing, it will vent steam when as it comes up to pressure. It will make little noises. Do not be alarmed. When it finishes cooking, you could choose to switch this button in order to vent all of your steam through here, or you could just let it kind of depressurize naturally. You cannot open this lid without letting it either vent through using the switch or just naturally vent. You really have to vent it. Like pressure cookers actually are dangerous because they can explode. On the inside of the lid, there is a little seal mechanism. This can come out to be washed, and it has an interior bowl that sits inside and can come out. This is the larger size. It is a really good amount of space. The lid twists to lock on. Um, once once you know the button you need, and there are a lot of buttons, more buttons than anyone needs. Once you know the button you need, and maybe that button is cake, the thing is pretty easy to use. You can also, oh, that's the other button I have used. I've used the saute button to just get it warm and like you saute some onions or something before you put in the rest of your meat or rice or whatever you're doing, and then you let it come up and cook. So that's very helpful. There's also about a million Instant Pot cookbooks out there. Um, and they all have lots of good ideas. So it's a really good device. It's got a lot of support. It's got a lot of community around it. A lot of people very passionate about their Instant Pots. I have very little passion about the Instant Pot, but I do think it's convenient. And as someone who hates having kitchen appliances because they take up space, looking at a very big kitchen appliance, I can say with my whole heart that it is worth it. And that is not something I can say about every kitchen device. I'm very choosy about the things that I allow to take up space in my kitchen, and this is one of them. So I I would say it's a 4.5 star kitchen appliance for me. I'm removing half a star just because of the overabundance of buttons and because I think it could be easier to use. But that's just me, and other people might really want those buttons. So let's take a look at other reviews and see what people think. All right, here we are on the page for the Instant Pot. I believe this is the one I have. If it isn't, I'm sorry. I have the larger one. I do know that much. In terms of reviews, whew, 51,000 reviews. So freaking many. Okay, that's like I said, there's a lot of people who love their pots. And 4.6 stars, that's pretty much what I would have guessed. 4.5-ish, generally in that area. Easy, healthy, and quick meals. Love the pot. Use it for hard-boiled eggs. I did try that once. It worked pretty well. They're so easy to make on the stovetop that I don't, this is heavy to pull out. So I usually do stovetop. Love the convenience. Wonderful combination of slow cooker crock pot. It's true, you can do both. I do love a thing that lets me only have one thing instead of two things. So that is a good thing about it. Um, Worth every penny. They bought it 50% off. I got it way more than that off because I got it on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah. Actually, I got it on a Facebook group. It wasn't the marketplace. It was a Facebook group. But anyway, this is my hot tip. Must have kitchen appliance. It's very practical. It is practical. Shredded meats, vegetables, slow cooking, rice. It does it all. Yeah, it's true. So, like, really, it's kind of something that lets you have three devices in one because you don't need a rice cooker, you don't need a pressure cooker, and you don't need a slow cooker. You can have just one. Just one. It's so nice. I do love that. Efficiency is the way to my heart. Instant pots are a wonderful combination of the slow cooker. Yep. All right. Okay. I need to switch to critical reviews. Let's see what people have to say. Prepare to spend on accessories. What do we need? What kind of accessories do we need? A silicone sling? Huh? Oh, I see. So they're trying to make the cake. It's the cake. The cake button. The cake button requires more of you. Okay, that's good to know. It's good to know. Ooh, the 3-quart pot is under 10 pounds. The 6-quart pot is 20 pounds. No wonder it feels so heavy. It's heavier than my child. Oh my gosh. Okay, my child is very small, though, just a baby. Wow, these people have gotten fancy. Rice pudding and mac and cheese. See, really all this is just me seeing what other people have been making. I just haven't got me and my shredded chicken. I haven't been making the cheesecakes. Um, oh, looks like someone got a bad product, guaranteed to die in 3 to 4 years. I mean, that's probably true. My previous Instant Pot, the one I was replacing, actually, did die. And it was something wrong with the venting mechanism. In order to vent it, we had to poke it with a chopstick, carefully maneuver it, and then it would vent. And so, after about several months of this, I saw someone selling this one, and I was like, "It's time. We're throwing that chopstick away." So I will say though, I did give away that Instant Pot to someone else who was happy to have one, even with the chopstick problem. All right, so slow cooker it is not. Maybe it doesn't work as well in a slow cooker. I will say every time I've used it as the slow cooker, I've not been so happy with the results, but I'm not the best. Like I said, I don't have the moral fortitude for instructions. I lack the moral fortitude for good like recipe following as well. That is the same thing in my brain. So I always assumed that was my fault, that the meat was not tender and the flavor was not as good. Maybe I should be blaming the slow cook function. I kind of like this. This is good to know. Yogurt, why? Why Instant Pot, why? Um, why don't you take the opportunity to make us life easier? I mean, this is true. If you're, when you're making yogurt, you do have to test the temperature a lot. It would have been nice. It would have been nice. Okay, all right. I think I've seen enough here. It's all going to be kind of small complaints for people who want to use it for specific purposes, or big complaints from people who got a bad device. So overall, yes, I do like this device. And like I said, I should have mentioned it at the top. I've had two of them. This one was a replacement for my previous one. I've had this one now for a couple of years, which probably means I have 2 years left if that review is to be believed before I need to start pulling out the old chopstick to fix the vent. But definitely check resale options. If you're just curious and want to try one, buy a used one and then resell it and get yourself a new one if you want to. There's a great secondhand market for these. So good luck with it. Tell me if you've used that cake button because I gotta know.